Good evening, everybody. Mark Meckler here, your host for the Sunday night BattleCry. I'm excited to be with you. I got to open with this, though. You see the shirt I'm wearing? It says defiant, right? This is the attitude we need to have right now. Producer G has up on the screen for you the defiant shirt. You guys can get that, have the right attitude, be defiant. Go to conventionestates.com/store. Get your own defiant shirt. It's important that you're defiant because this mask stuff, be defiant. Don't wear a mask anymore. All this stuff that's ridiculous, shut down the churches, be defiant. And our main topic tonight is wokeism. And we're going to talk about what it is, why it's so bad, where it comes from. And the way you got to deal with wokeism is you have to be defiant. It's the right attitude. It's what we're going to do. It's the way we're going to be. And honestly, it's the way we're going to save the country. You know, you defy kings, you defy tyrants. You defy the woke mob, the Twitterati. They're going to come after you. You have to be defiant. So we're going to start with actually Loudoun County, Virginia. I have a lot of friends that live in Loudoun County. Things have been hot in Loudoun County. You had a school board taken over by the wokeists. They've been doing a lot of really bad stuff to the kids there, and the parents are standing up. And the one that I got this week is one of the most inspiring ones I've ever seen. If you want to see people understand what's actually going on in America, you got to listen to people who've come from real tyranny, who've come from communism, who've come from socialism, who've come from fascism. That's what happened this week in Loudoun County. Producer G, can you roll the tape for me, please?
I've been very alarmed about what's going on in our school. You are now training our children to be social justice warriors and to loathe our country and our history. Growing up in Maoist China, all this seemed very familiar. The communist regime used the same critical theory to divide people. The only difference is they use class instead of race. During the Cultural Revolution, I witnessed students and teachers turn against each other. We changed school names to be politically correct. We were taught to denounce our heritage. The Red Guards destroy anything that is not communist, old statues, books, and anything else. We are also encouraged to report on each other, just like the Student Equity Ambassador Program and the bias reporting system. This is indeed the American version of the Chinese Cultural Revolution. The critical race theory has its roots in cultural Marxism. It should have no place in our schools.
Man, you should listen to that. Look for it. Listen to it over and over. That's a woman who lived what we're experiencing right now. She lived it in Mao's China. She lived the Cultural Revolution. She watched students denouncing teachers, teachers against students. She watched people going against their friends, children going against their parents. And she said it straight up. This is critical race theory. It's just critical theory, which comes straight out of Marxism. She lived this. She knows what's going on in America, and you need to be aware of this too. This critical race theory, CRT, I wouldn't call it CRT anymore. I don't call it critical race theory. This is just straight up state-sponsored racism. This is Marxism, right? This is really, really bad stuff, and we have to pay attention. And it's important that we listen to people like this woman. She came from Mao's China. See, in Mao's China, they had something called the Cultural Revolution. And I would argue that is the straightest parallel to what's going on in the United States right now. It's bar none. It is what's happening here. It is a cultural revolution. She said they denounced their own history, right? Anything that had to do with their history, they wiped out and replaced with communism. Today, anything that has to do with our own history, they're denouncing and they're erasing and they're replacing with wokeism. They're destroying statues. They're denouncing our history. They're rewriting our history books. This is the American Cultural Revolution. This is state-sponsored racism. And I want you to understand why they had to go to racism instead of classism. See, critical theory that came out of Marxism normally was about classism. So you would turn the lower classes against the upper classes, right? You'd make the proletariat, as they called it, hate the bourgeoisie. And they had to change it in the United States. And the reason they had to change it is here, classes are pretty mobile. Like if you grow up poor, you can become middle class. You can become wealthy. And by the way, when you do, you'll be accepted in all those classes. You know, we tell stories all the time about people who are so incredible because they grew up dirt poor right? And they lifted themselves up by their bootstraps, something we're not supposed to say anymore. And ultimately, they became wealthy. They lived the American dream. They achieved great success. And we accept that and we celebrate it still, thank God, in the United States. So you can't really drive classes against each other because people want to become the classes, the economic classes that they can rise up through in the United States. So they had to find another way, and that is to turn us against each other in every other possible way. That's what critical race theory is about. That's what critical gender theory, all these critical theories they create, they say theory as if it's some kind of scientific thing. It's not science. It's designed to make you hate me and me hate you and us hate them and them hate us, because that's how you destroy a society. And the only way that you can rebuild a society in the Marxist model is you have to destroy it first. Now, I'm not making any of this stuff up. These are the tenets of Marxism. If you don't believe me, just go read it yourself, right? Go read Marx. Go read what Stalin did. Go read what happened in Mao's China. This is Marxism. And the thing I have to ask you is, how much is enough? You know, if you have kids or relatives that are in favor of all this kind of stuff, they need to understand their history. Roughly 150 million dead at the hands of Marxism, at the hands of communism, at the hands of socialism in America. We cannot let this happen. We need to listen to this woman who lived through the Cultural Revolution. We need to listen to the people who watched it happen in Venezuela. We need to listen to the people who lived in the Soviet Union, who watched it happen, who watched their history get wiped out, who watched people turned against people. That's not our history, and hopefully that's not our future. But this kind of stuff is going on all over the country. So what do we need to do? What do you need to do? What do I need to do? Very simple. We need to do without what that woman just did. We need to stand. We need to be defiant. If your kids are in those schools, you have two choices. You go to war with those school boards. You run for school. You don't give them a moment of peace. And I mean that, not a moment of peace. You know how they come and they protest and they try to make everybody miserable? You need to do the same thing. We do it within the rule of law, but we go en masse and we make it so that they can't take it, so that they resign, so that they leave, so that they stand down, so that they reverse their positions. And ultimately, you have to do what the parents did in South Lake, Texas. You have to take over your own school board. You have to drive this stuff out, or you have to leave. These schools need to collapse. They're destroying our society, and they're doing it all over the country, right? That's in Virginia, which we think of as a swing state, a purple state, maybe even more of a blue state now. So that's in Loudoun County, Virginia, Northern Virginia, which has become quite blue. Those parents are fighting back. I think those parents are going to win. I know some of them, but it's happening all over the country. I don't care where you live. I don't care if you're talking Kentucky. I don't care if you're talking Texas. I don't care if you're talking Ohio. It's happening in your state. In fact, one of the best states in America right now, perhaps the best governed state in America right now, is Florida. It's happening in Florida. And again, it's good because parents are rising up. Producer G, can you play the next clip for us?
My name is Keisha King. I'm a mom of two, one who's in the Duval County Public School System and one in private school thanks to school choice. I'm also a member of Moms for Liberty, representing thousands of parents. Just coming off of May 31st, marking the 100 years of the Tulsa riots, it is sad that we are even contemplating something like critical race theory, where children will be separated by their skin color and deemed permanently oppressors or oppressed in 2021. That is not teaching the truth, unless you believe that whites are better than blacks. I have personally heard teachers teaching CRT, and we have had an assembly shut down because Duval County Public School System consultant thought it would be a great idea to separate students by race. This is unacceptable. CRT is not racial sensitivity or simply teaching unfavorable American history or teaching Jim Crow history. CRT is deeper and more dangerous than that. CRT, in its outworking today, is a teaching that there is a hierarchy in society where white, male, heterosexual, able-bodied people are deemed the oppressor, and anyone else outside of that status is oppressed. That's why we see corporations like Coca-Cola asking their employees to be less white, which is ridiculous. I don't know about you, but telling my child or any child that they are in a permanent oppressed status in America because they are black is racist, and saying that white people are automatically above me, my children, or any child is racist as well. This is not something that we can stand for in our country. And don't take it from me, look at the writers of these types of publications. Our ancestors, white, black, and others, hung, bled, and died right alongside each other to push America towards that more perfect union. If this continues, we will look back and be responsible for the dismantling of the greatest country in the world by reverting to teaching hate and that race is a determining factor on where your destiny lies. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, that's what we need to see. That woman is defiant. Keisha Kane, hats off to you, girl. That's fantastic. That's what parents need to do. And I want you to listen to what she said. She called it out for what it is. She said it's racist. I want you to think about this. I mean, this is absolutely incredible. She said it in a way that was so impactful. She said, what you're saying is all white people are above black people. They're the oppressors and the black people are the oppressed. And she said, you're not going to teach my children that. That's racist. I mean, it's absolutely, these people are racist. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I say, and I hope you'll be this defiant and this direct, when people tell you that we ought to teach this stuff in school, you should call them racists. I mean, you should straight up say, you are a racist. You're disgusting. You want to teach black people that all white people are above them, all white people are oppressors, all black people are oppressed? That's racist. You want to teach them to divide people by the color of their skin instead of the content of their character? That's racist. We're going to go direct at this. We're going to be defiant. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to be bombastic. We're going to push hard. I'm not tolerating this. I am not tolerating a country where my grandkids are going to grow up potentially in a country that is openly, objectively, aggressively, fanatically racist. We're not going to allow this to happen. We're not going to allow them to drive us to race wars, which is ultimately what they want. They want to separate us. They want to pull us apart. They want us banging heads so that we hate each other. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to allow it to happen personally, and you shouldn't allow it to happen either. And really, again, I'm going to repeat some of this stuff. You need to understand where this stuff comes from. By the way, Murray says that this is happening in Alabama. Don't you think of Alabama as a red state? It's happening in Texas. We think of Texas as a red state. We are fighting this in every state in the United States of America, and we got to stop it. You know, DeSantis said he was going to ban it in Florida. I think some of that is going to be pushed back against legally. I think they can't ban it as a form of free speech, but we have to be very careful. We have to go in. We have to take over the school boards. You know, Joanne Kaur says these woke people are idiots. I agree with that. We have to fight. Be victorious, not a victim, says Edna. I agree with that. And I'm going to be blunt. They're racist. They're idiots. They're damaging our country. They're doing destruction. This is evil. Becky says they're fighting this in Oklahoma. Like, these are conservative places. Mike Lotshaw says happening in Georgia too. So this is happening all over the country. We're going to have to fight back against it. Where's it come from? It's cultural Marxism. This critical theory stuff is cultural Marxism. You know, a few years ago, I started calling the left fascists. They are fascists. I got some pushback from the right for calling them fascists, but that's what they are. And they are promoting Marxism. And they want to tear down this country, and they want to take it apart, and they want us to hate each other. And then they're going to impose Marxism, impose totalitarianism, impose fascism on all of us. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to be defiant, and we're not going to let them do it, because we have right on our side, because we love everybody. We don't care about skin color. We care about the content of character. And I'll tell you, I travel all over the country, literally from the deep South to the far north, to New England, Nebraska, South Dakota, all over the country, California. And I will tell you, I will never say, by the way, that there's not racism out there. Of course there's racism out there, because human beings are flawed and sinful, and we do bad things. But I will tell you, we are not a racist country. This idea of systemic racism, there's no evidence for this. It's ridiculous. We are the most generous country on the face of the earth. We are the country, the only white majority country that's ever elected a black president. We've had black secretaries of state, black attorney generals, black Supreme Court justices. We have gone as close as we possibly can be to a colorblind society. It's incredible. And we should always continue to strive for more and strive for better. But this is where we're at right now. This is the freest least discriminatory country on the face of the earth. They talk about how bad it is here for people of color and specifically for immigrants of color. Why do these people keep coming? Because it's much better here, much freer here. There's much more opportunity here. This kind of stuff, by the way, this open promoted racism is running rampant in the military as well. It's everywhere in our society. It's in government agencies. It's in the military. It's in our schools. We're going to be defiant and we're going to fight it. You should get your defiant shirt. Again, conventionofstates.com/store. But then you have to have that attitude. And I know we're starting to organize here in our community. We're talking to some of the local teachers. We're talking to friends of ours in church. We are going to fight back against this kind of stuff. We have to do that. In the news this week, you also learned and you also saw that wokeism is anti-Semitism. I'm particularly sensitive to this. All of us should be. Israel is our greatest ally in the Middle East, the only democracy in the Middle East, the only place where Arab Muslims have equal rights, right? How are women treated in all the Arab countries, majority Arab countries? They're property, they're chattel, they're owned. They need men's permission to do anything. How are gays and lesbians treated in those societies? They're underground at best. They're killed if they come out. Not in Israel. There's total freedom. People can do what they want, live as they want. Arabs have the right to vote. Arabs have a major party in Israel. There are Arabs on the Israeli Supreme Court, Arab Muslims. That's Israel. And this week, Ilhan Omar, our illustrious congresswoman from Minnesota, came out and equated the United States and Israel with war crimes in Afghanistan and things that the Taliban has done and Hamas has done. She basically said, directly said, we are equivalent and Israel is equivalent to terrorists. This woman being in the United States Congress, one of the greatest disgraces in the history of the United States Congress. She is an evil, disgusting dirtbag of a human being. And I don't feel bad saying that. And I don't think that's over the top. She hates Jews. She's an anti-Semite. She's always been an anti-Semite. This is a woman who wrote a letter to a judge and told the judge that he should go lenient on people that were trying to sign up for ISIS, to kill Americans. That's who this woman is. This is the woman who said that the Israeli lobby has too much influence over American politics. It's all about the Benjamins, meaning the cash. Anti-Semitic tropes spew from this woman's mouth, anti-Semitic hatred, and they always have. And you know what the Democratic Party does about it? Nothing. Not a damn thing. There were 12 Jewish members of the Democratic caucus in the House that signed a letter saying that this concerned them and that she needed to, quote unquote, clarify her comments. First thing I want you to understand is I want you to think about there are 25 Jewish members of the House caucus, Democrats, and only 12 of them signed a statement. A tepid milquetoast statement. It's disgusting. No Democrat that wasn't a Jew said anything about this anti-Semitic bigot. Not one. And then they asked her to clarify. It was pretty damn clear what she said. They didn't need to clarify. What she was saying is, I hate Jews. I hate Americans. I believe America is like the Taliban. I believe Israel is like the Taliban. It's unbelievable. She actually likes the Taliban more. It's disgusting. And not one Democrat that's not a Jew said anything about it. And then Ilhan Omar came out and first doubled down and said, I can't believe the way they pick on me because I'm a Muslim, because I'm a woman of color. She's talking about the Democrat Congress, the Democrat caucus in Congress. And what do you think they did? Did they fight back? Did they say, screw you, you're being a disgusting anti-Semite? No. They said, oh, well, we just need you to clarify. And hours later, she said, of course, I didn't mean to equate the United States and Israel with Hamas and the Taliban. You people all just misinterpreted me. How disgusting is this? The Democrats have become the party of open, total, vile anti-Semitism. This is part of wokeism. The woke culture is what they call the intersectional culture. So the anti-Semites stand with the anti-Americans, stand with the anti-Israelis, right? Stand with the anti-white middle-aged males, or stand against the anti-middle-aged white males. And it's just disgusting. You know who has very similar ideology? the white supremacists and the wokeists, right? Because they hate Jews, right? This is the way they are. They hate the Jews and they think the races should be separated, right? This is what you hear from the white Aryans, that we need racial separation. This is what you now hear from the wokeists, right? That we need to divide people by races. It's completely disgusting and it has to stop in this country. And it's going to be up to you and it's going to be up to me. And if it's uncomfortable for you, I'm sorry. It's time to stand, right? We have to stand. Jerry says they hate America too. That's absolutely true. And this is what's going on. This war is trying to undercut the foundations of our society. It's an internal war. This is cultural Marxism. This is the Cultural Revolution from Mao's China, and you need to be aware of it, and you need to stand and fight. If your kids aren't in school, go to the school board meetings anyway. If your kids aren't in school, run for the school boards anyway. Help other people run for the school boards. We have to take over the school boards. We're going to have to take this back. We're going to have to set the ship straight. We're going to have to be defiant because nobody's going to do it for us. All right, I want to talk a little bit, move into specifically COS. COS still incredibly on the move. North Carolina passed their House. South Carolina passed their House. Wisconsin passed their Assembly. Overwhelming vote there. It's been really good. Last week, I was in Michigan, did a great rally on the steps of the Capitol in Michigan. It was a blast. Great team in Michigan. You guys are incredible. It's funny. It was hot. It was humid. I was in a suit, which was really hot and humid, up on the steps of the Capitol. Beautiful weather, beautiful backdrop other than the heat and humidity. The crowd didn't look that big, but there were hundreds of people there. They were spread out, so you couldn't really tell. We didn't want to pack everybody together. It was too hot, but it was a great, great crowd. You can see producer G had a picture up there on the screen. Hold on. I got to drop my chat so I can look. Yeah, it was awesome. Doesn't it look like a beautiful day? It was an incredibly beautiful day. We have great support in both houses. I had a meeting with Matt Hall, who is our sponsor in the House of Representatives. Really strong guy, really strong convention of state supporter. So I think it looks really good in Michigan. Now, Michigan's a year-round legislature, so we can work there year-round. I was in Ohio the week before. That's a year-round legislature. Great support in both houses. Looks good. We'll be working there year-round. So a lot happening. In the coming week, I'm heading out. Next weekend, I will be in New Jersey next Saturday. Really excited about that grassroots event. So if you're in the New Jersey, maybe anywhere in the tri-state area, you want to come in, join us for the rally, you can check that out at conventionestates.com. Go look at the New Jersey team, see what they're up to. Lots of really cool stuff going on. By the way, I forgot to say this. I have to say it. I'm going to get in trouble saying it. I know. In Michigan, go blue. I know if you're a Spartan, if you're a state person, you're not going to like it. But my future son-in-law, he's a big fan, Michigan. So I got to say go blue. What can I do? The kids, by the way, my daughter and her fiance are in Michigan this weekend up in Holland, celebrating my future son-in-law's little sister's graduation from high school. The wedding, by the way, is going to be up in Traverse City. So we got a lot of Michigan roots now. Those of you in Michigan, I love you. It's kind of my second home now. So we love it up there. Looking forward to coming up to Traverse City. All right. I said next weekend I'll be in New Jersey. And then don't forget, next weekend, we will not be doing this. We will not be doing the BattleCry. I know you're sad. I'm sad too. But it's Father's Day. All right. So I'm going to be doing Father's Day stuff, having fun with the family. For us, that usually involves maybe some Texas barbecue, definitely some gunfire. You will definitely hear guns around here for sure. We'll do some shooting. Hopefully there'll be some good gifts related to guns. It's going to be a great weekend next weekend. So I'm going to miss you all for next weekend. We'll be back the following week. I'm now going to go to Q&A, my favorite part, because you guys are the reason we do all of this. All right, let's start with this. Susan Peter says, a new COS volunteer told me this weekend, my rights don't end where your fear begins. I love that. It's kind of a play on Shapiro's, right? My facts don't care about your feelings. But this is true. My rights don't end where your fear begins. And they still see people wearing masks and they're fearful. They want to know why you're not wearing a mask, or if you're not getting vaccinated, why you're not getting vaccinated. Hey, if you're afraid, wear a mask, do what you got to do, get vaccinated. My rights don't end where your fear begins. Margaret Dosher says it starts at the House district level. Get out in your own neighborhood, find out what the kids are being taught. Margaret, I can't agree more. Again, I'm going to reiterate. It doesn't matter if you have kids in school. Go to the school board meetings. Investigate what's going on. You have the wisdom. You got a little bit of gray hair like I do. Go to those school board meetings. Take part. Those kids are your responsibility. Right? Sometimes their parents are busy. They're working for a living. It's hard. If you're retired, Go to the school board, run for the school board, take that thing over. Mark White says, do we need to expand the topics of COS resolution to counter Marxism in America? You know, Mark, I think COS is a counter to Marxism in America. And what I mean by that is if we take the power away from the federal government and we spread it out to the states, we distribute that power, we diversify where that power is located, then it's much harder for Marxism to be imposed. Remember, Marxism is a totalitarian system. It's imposed from the top down. And so where it's really going to come from on a national level is from the federal government. And look, you know, Berkeley, California wants to run their schools like Marxists, let them do it. That's up to them. I think the parents in Berkeley got to fight. And we're seeing, by the way, a lot of these private schools, the woke private schools, parents are fighting back even there. Vicki Clayton says, how can we encourage voting integrity investigations in our states? The main way is to speak with your county elections officials, become one, right? Get involved, make sure, don't wait till the elections. 2022 will be here before you know it. Become a poll watcher, become a vote counter, get involved in the party and get involved in your system, and then put pressure on your members of your House of Representatives and your Senate to clean up your election systems. But do it now. Don't wait. Brett Green says, Mark, why does it seem that people and causes are always playing defense? Maybe it's time to play offense. I'm in 100% agreement, Brett. And that's, by the way, the entire thing about Convention of States is we're not playing defense. We're going on offense. We're going out there. We're making something happen. People are having to defend against this. And so that's the point. I agree with you. Get on offense. Go out there, fight. Be aggressive. Be defiant. Go attack, attack, attack. We never lose when we never win when we're on defense. Marcia Traub says COS was filed in the Pennsylvania House this week. I hope it's filed in the Pennsylvania Senator later this month. Pennsylvanians, contact your state senator or representative. Look, I've had some great meetings in Pennsylvania. I hope to get there again soon. It's one of the most beautiful state houses in the country, by the way. Marcia is telling you, if you're not already engaged, go to conventionofstates.com, sign the petition, right? And then go click on the Take Action tab, become a volunteer. Not enough to sign the petition. You got to volunteer. Sharon Carell says, is North Carolina having a Senate vote soon? Sharon, we'll have a Senate vote there as soon as we're ready. We're not going to do it until we have the vote count. So yeah, soon, but I don't know exactly when. Beverly Graham says, happy early Father's Day. Mark Meckler. I had to tell you guys, I actually really like Father's Day. I don't really like celebrating my birthday. I'm just not a big fan of it. Not because I'm old, which I am, but because it's sort of all about me. Father's Day is about honoring my father, about honoring your father. It's not so much about the kids honoring me. It's about honoring the father to me. That's the family model, right? My father, my ultimate father is Jesus Christ. And I think about him on Father's Day. And then I honor my father. So either the Holy Father, my father, the kids come over. I get to do what I want, which usually means I even work out a couple of times, usually on Father's Day, shoot some guns. I appreciate the Father's Day wishes, Beverly. All right, let's see. New York Pre-Med says, is there any hope for New York City? I'm getting involved, but it seems hopeless. First of all, God bless you for sticking it out. I escaped California, so I wouldn't blame you if you escaped, but I do think there is hope. I'm going to tell you a quick hopeful story, and then we'll close it out. In Austin, Texas, which is a very liberal city, just as liberal as New York City, they had allowed the city council camping on the streets by anybody who wants to. Now, imagine what that leads to. It's not guys like me camping on the streets because it's a beautiful view and we want to see the stars. It's homeless people. It's drug addicts. It's people who are mentally ill. They're camping in front of stores. They're destroying downtown. Just last month, the people in Austin voted against this. When I say the people, remember, the vast majority of people are Democrats or leftists. They voted against it. I think what you're going to see in New York City is the same thing we've seen in New York City before. New York City went down the toilet previously. As a pre-med student, you're too young to remember this. It was terrible. It was a scary place. Times Square was scary. Tourists didn't come there. Nobody went out into New York City to go out because it was too dangerous, right? What happened was Rudy Giuliani came in and cleaned up the city. How'd he do it? Tough on crime, more cops on the streets, broken window kind of policing. So eventually what's going to happen, I believe, is the people of New York City are going to get sick of it and they're going to fight back. So yeah, you need to be involved in New York City. We always need patriots engaged. Doesn't matter if you're in New York City or Los Angeles or Austin, you matter, right? And it's not about your job. It's not to win. Your job is to fight. We need to remember that. All right. So special thanks to all you fathers out there. Father's Day is coming up. I won't get to see you next Father's Day, I want to encourage you and tell you it's one of the most important things you can possibly do is to be there for your kids, is to communicate with your kids, is to be a support system, to be a shining example for your kids. Your kids rely on you. Every statistic shows that families without dads, they just have the most difficult time. Higher crime rates, higher suicide rates, higher drug abuse rates. Ultimately, those kids get into a bad cycle. So, to those of you that have spent your lives doing everything you can to be a good dad, I just want you to know how much I appreciate you and how much I honor you. It's not an easy job, but it's the most important job you'll ever do. I occasionally get asked, what's the best way to be a good parent? I'll counsel new parents. And here's what I think. One, be a biblical parent. Teach your kids the right values. Look how the Father loves us, but that doesn't mean no discipline. It doesn't mean no guidelines. It doesn't mean no rules. We live in a society where we tend to let the kids do whatever they want. That's not healthy. In discipline is freedom. And so be there for your kids. Be thoughtful, be present, be involved. Do everything you can to do the best you can. You're going to do a great job. If you're a new parent, just be involved in your kids' lives, set the boundaries, be a biblical parent, love your kids, support your kids. If you're an older parent like I am, love your kids, support your kids, be there for your kids. Just be a dad. It's one of the most important things you're going to do in your entire life. And if you have a dad, go honor your dad. Go love your dad. Go appreciate your dad. He'll appreciate it. If you got a schism with your dad, go repair that schism. Go bury that stuff in the past. Go give them the love that they deserve. And when I say they deserve, even if they weren't the greatest dad in the world, sometimes we just do the best we can. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everything you let me do to support you. If you're in New Jersey, come see me next weekend with the New Jersey team on Saturday. Don't forget, conventionofstates.com/store. Get your Defiant t-shirt today. Be a defiant dad. It makes a great Father's Day present. Blessings out. We'll see you in a week.